The line snapped taut in the twilight hush of the lake, yanking Austin's heart into his throat as if the fish below had hooked his soul instead. Lawrence's laugh echoed low and gravelly across the water, but when Austin turned, those whiskey-brown eyes weren't crinkling with the easy camaraderie of the afternoon. They burned with something feral, unspoken, pinning him like a specimen under glass. "Kid," Lawrence murmured, voice rough as the pine bark scraping their boat. "You have no idea what you've started." Austin had always known Lawrence as the shadow to his father's light, the guy who'd show up at barbecues with a cooler of craft IPAs and stories from his days hauling lumber up in the Cascades, back when men were men and the world didn't ask too many questions. Dad called him Uncle Law, even though there was no blood between them, just 40 years of shared beers and busted engines in the garage out back of their split level in suburban Seattle. Lawrence was the one who'd taught Austin to bait a hook at 12, his calloused hands steady over Austin's trembling ones, whispering, "Patience, son. The bite comes when you least expect it." That was a decade ago, and Austin had grown into a lanky 22-year-old with a graphic design degree gathering dust and a barista gig that paid for his weed and wanderlust. But the lake, Lake Sammamish, that glassy expanse 30 minutes east of the city, where the evergreens clawed at the sky like they were trying to hold back the rain, it was their ritual. Dad's idea, this man trip before Austin shipped off to Portland for some vague internship that felt more like escape than ambition. "Take the boat out with Law," Dad had clapped him on the back that morning, oblivious as ever, slapping a six-pack into his cooler. "He'll set you straight. World's a jungle out there. Straight." The word lodged in Austin's chest like a barbed treble hook. He'd been dodging it for years, the way he dodged the curveballs in his high school baseball dreams that never quite materialized. Girls at parties. Sure. Awkward kisses that tasted like lip gloss and regret, but it was the stolen glances at the swim team captain's V-line, the flush when his roommate crashed shirtless from the shower, that kept Austin up nights scrolling Grindr in incognito mode, thumb hovering over delete app. He wasn't ready for labels. Not when Dad still ribbed him about settling down with some nice gal from church. Lawrence, though, Lawrence was safe harbor. 48, divorced twice, with a salt and pepper beard that hid the laugh lines from too many winters logging timber and too few springs chasing anything but the next paycheck. He drove a battered Ford F-150 with mud-caked tires and a bumper sticker that read, "Eat, Sleep, Fish, Repeat." And when he clapped Austin on the shoulder, felt like absolution, not interrogation. They'd launched the aluminum skiff at dawn, the mist rolling off the water like cigarette smoke from Lawrence's first Marlboro of the day. Seattle's sprawl faded in the rearview as they wound through Bellevue's manicured lawns, the radio tuned low to some classic rock station crooning Springsteen about glory days Austin could only imagine. "Your old man's been singing your praises," Lawrence said, easing the trailer into the ramp, water lapping greedy at the hull. "Says you're the artist type. Gonna make it big in the city." Austin snorted, uncoiling the anchor line, the nylon biting into his palms. "Yeah, well, Dad thinks finger paints count as fine art. Portland's just a fresh start." Lawrence's gaze lingered a beat too long, praising, before he nodded and fired up the outboard motor. The prop churned foam as they cut into the lake, leaving the dock's buoys bobbing like forgotten promises. By noon, they'd claimed a cove ringed by basalt boulders, the kind that whispered of ancient floods and lost tribes. Austin cast his spinnerbait with a flick honed from summers past, the lure slicing air before plunking into the depths. Lawrence sprawled against the gunwale, pole propped casual between his knees, a thermos of black coffee steaming in his fist. "Remember that monster you pulled in at 14? Northern pike, long as your arm. Thought you'd shit yourself when it hit. Austin grinned, reeling slow, the drag humming soft. You reeled it in. Saved my ass. Lawrence chuckled, deep in his chest, the sound vibrating through the boat's thin aluminum like a tuning fork. Teamwork, kid. Always teamwork. As the sun climbed, so did the stories, easy at first, the kind that bridged generations without effort. Lawrence spun yarns of his wild 20s, hauling ass across the border to Vancouver for dive bar brawls and back alley regrets, the ink on his forearms fading testaments to nights he couldn't quite recall. Your dad pulled me out of more than one scrape, he admitted, flicking ash over the side, the ember winking out on the waves. Guy's a saint. Marries that firecracker accountant, pops out a mini-him like you, and still finds time to drag my sorry hide fishing. Austin watched the cigarette's glow dance on Lawrence's knuckles, scarred from chainsaws and close calls, and felt a pull low in his gut. Not hunger, not quite, but something sharper, like the first tug on a line. He shifted, knees bumping the cooler, and cracked a Rainier tallboy to drown it. Dad says you were the one who kept him sane after Mom. You know, the words hung, brittle as the fall leaves skittering across the surface. Cancer had taken her when Austin was 8, a quiet thief in the night, leaving Dad to microwave dinners and Little League sidelines alone. Lawrence's jaw tightened, the beard shadowing deeper. We kept each other sane. That's what brothers do. The bite came slow after that, lazy bass slapping at minnows in the shallows, but the real current ran beneath. Austin caught himself tracing the veins on Lawrence's forearms as he gutted a perch with a pocket knife, the blade flashing silver in the dappled light. Lawrence noticed, had to, with those eyes that missed nothing, and instead of pulling away, he leaned in, breath warm with coffee and tobacco. You're quiet today, U.S. What's eating you? Girl troubles? Or is it the city jitters? Austin's reel clicked empty, line slack, and he met that gaze head-on, pulse thumping like a hooked heart. Not girls, he said, voice cracking just a hair, the admission slipping free like a snagged lure finally giving way. Lawrence didn't flinch, didn't laugh, just nodded slow, capping the thermos with deliberate fingers. Yeah. Figured as much. Seen it in you since you were knee-high. The way you'd watch the fellas on the dock. Not the boats. Austin's world tilted, the lake's horizon blurring as heat flooded his face. Not shame. Exactly. But exposure. Raw and electric. Lawrence reached out then, hand heavy on his knee, thumb brushing denim in a circle that sent sparks up Austin's spine. Ain't nothing wrong with it, kid. World's changing. Hell, I remember when the horn of a passing pontoon cut him short, laughter spilling from sunburned families in swimsuits, and Lawrence pulled back, clearing his throat like gravel under tires. They fished on, the sun dipping toward the Olympics' jagged teeth, but the air hum charged now, every cast a question, every retrieve an answer unspoken. Austin's mind raced. Portland was escape. Sure. But from what? From this? The weight of Lawrence's hand lingered phantom on his skin, stirring dreams he'd buried under flannel and false starts. As dusk bled purple across the water, Lawrence fired up the grill bolted to the transom, slapping trout fillets onto the grate, the sizzle mingling with wood smoke from a distant campfire. They ate cross-legged on the deck, forks scraping foil, the beer loosening tongues further. Tell me about it, Lawrence said finally, plate balanced on his knee, eyes on the fireflies winking to life. The real shit. Not the sanitized version for your dad. Austin hesitated, fork midway to his mouth, the fish flaky and forbidden. It's everything. Hiding it. Feeling like a freak in my own skin. Last year, this guy at school, we hooked up once. In the dorms. Thought it meant something. Next day, he's ghosting. Telling his bros I came onto him like some predator. The words tasted bitter, chased with a swig that burned cold. Lawrence listened, face carved in flickering orange. No judgment etching the lines around his mouth. When Austin trailed off, staring at the coals glow mirrored on the lake, Lawrence sighed heavy, setting his plate aside. Betrayal cuts deepest when it's wrapped in trust. U.S. Learned that the hard way. He paused, gaze distant, lost in the smoke curling skyward. First marriage? Thought I could play straight. Wife was sweet, church girl, but every night I lay there staring at the ceiling, wondering who the hell I was lying to more, her or me. Came out to her after 5 years. She took it like a champ, said she'd known. But the town? Jesus. Whispers at the mill, cold shoulders at the bar. Lost friends. Lost myself for a spell. Austin's breath caught, the revelation landing like a depth charge. Lawrence, Uncle Law, the bedrock bachelor with his trucker caps and tackle boxes, was gay? The pieces clicked. The divorces with no tears. The solo fishing trips that stretched weekends into weeks. The way he'd always sidestepped Dad's matchmaking jabs with a wink and a deflection. You're like me, Austin whispered, the words small against the night's chorus of loons calling distant. Lawrence's laugh was wry, self-deprecating, as he crushed his empty can in one fist. Like you, but with more mileage and fewer regrets. Kept it locked down after that. Dated quiet in the city, bars where no one knows your name. But it's lonely as hell, kid. Pretending for the ones you love, it hollows you out. The boat rocked gentle on the swell, stars pricking the velvet overhead, and Austin felt the chasm between them shrink to a span he could bridge. He shifted closer, shoulder brushing Lawrence's, the contact deliberate now, testing. Lawrence didn't move away. Instead, his hand found Austin's again, fingers interlacing rough and sure, calluses mapping secrets against soft palm. You don't have to hide in Portland, Lawrence murmured, voice low thunder. Or here. Not with me. Time stretched taut as a bowstring, the air thick with pine and possibility, and Austin leaned in, heart hammering, lips brushing the salt of Lawrence's jaw in a question that needed no words. Their first kiss tasted of lake water and liberation, Lawrence's beard rasping soft against Austin's chin as the world narrowed to the press of flannel chests and the faint creak of the boat settling deeper into the cove's embrace. Austin's hands fisted in the worn denim of Lawrence's shirt, pulling him closer, chasing the heat that bloomed low and insistent, drowning the doubts in a rush of need he'd denied too long. But as Lawrence's tongue traced the seam of his lips, tentative then claiming, a shadow flickered in Austin's mind, Dad's voice on the phone that morning, gruff and proud. Make some memories out there, son. Law's family. They broke apart gasping, foreheads pressed, breaths mingling in the cooling air. Lawrence's eyes, dark pools reflecting the moon's silver shave on the waves, held a storm Austin couldn't name, hunger laced with hesitation, like a man teetering on a logjam's edge. Christ! AOS, he rasped, thumb stroking Austin's cheekbone, rough pad lingering on the flush. We shouldn't. Austin cut him off with a shake, fierce, the words tumbling reckless. I'm not a kid anymore. And you? You're not just Dad's buddy. Not to me. Lawrence's chuckle rumbled low, vibrating through Austin's ribs. But it carried an edge, a warning whistle in the wind. He pulled back slow, disentangling fingers with visible effort, raking a hand through his silvered hair. 20 years between us, give or take. Your old man's trust on the line. This. He gestured vague between them, the gesture sweeping lake and stars. This is dynamite, kid. One spark, and it all blows. Austin's chest ached, the rejection a dull throb, but Lawrence's hand stayed cupped at his nape, grounding, not pushing away. They talked then, really talked, as the embers died to ash, voices weaving through the night's hush like cast lines seeking hidden currents. Lawrence unspooled more of his hidden self. The Tacoma dive bar where he'd first kissed a man, stubble and whiskey under neon buzz, the terror of headlights sweeping the lot as they bolted laughing into the rain. The second wife, a rebound artist who'd painted their apartment walls in abstracts that screamed what words couldn't, only for her to leave when the closet door creaked too loud. I built walls higher than these damn mountains, Lawrence confessed, voice gravel over glass, to keep the world out. And you're dynamite too, U.S. Beautiful, breakable. I won't be the one to light your fuse wrong. By midnight, the fireflies had faded, and exhaustion pulled at Austin's lids like lead weights on a sinker. Lawrence spread the wool blanket from the bow locker across the deck. The skiff their island in the ink-black lake. Crash here, he said, voice soft command. Dawn patrol for the big ones. They lay side by side, shoulders touching, the boat's gentle rock lulling like a cradle. Austin stared at the masthead light's red glow, tracing constellations he half-remembered from Boy Scout merit badges. Lawrence's snores ragged beside him. Sleep came fitful, dreams tangled in hooks and hands, waking to Lawrence's warmth at his back, arm slung heavy across his waist in sleep's unwitting claim. Dawn broke misty, the sun a reluctant smear behind clouds pregnant with Seattle's eternal drizzle. They fried the last of the trout over sterno flames, yolks runny on tin plates, coffee black as the basalt below. Conversation skirted the night before, light as dry flies on surface tension, fishtails, truck troubles, Dad's latest honeydew list back home. But under it ran the undercurrent, glances lingering on collarbones bared by unzipped hoodies, accidental brushes of knuckles over shared mugs that sparked like struck flint. As they packed the gear, rods stowed in their tubes, cooler iced for the haul back, Lawrence paused at the tiller, key dangling from scarred fingers. About last night, he started, eyes on the water's wrinkle rather than Austin's face. Wasn't fair to you. Crossing lines I swore off years ago. Austin's gut twisted, the blanket's phantom weight still warm on his skin. You regret it? Bold, the question, but laced with the fear that choked it. Lawrence's jaw worked, beard twitching. Regret starting something I can't finish right. You're heading out, U.S. New life. Don't need an old logger complicating it. The motor's cough shattered the quiet, prop churning them toward the ramp, wind whipping words away. Austin gripped the gunwale, knuckles bone-white, the lake shrinking astern like a memory folding in on itself. Back on solid ground, trailer hitched with a clank that echoed too final. Lawrence clapped him on the back, brotherly, safe, and said, "Drive careful to Portland. Call your dad when you settle. And me, anytime." The hug that followed was brief, bone-crushing, Lawrence's chin grazing Austin's temple in a ghost of last night's promise. Austin peeled out of the lot, Ford's tires spitting gravel. Mirror framing Lawrence's silhouette shrinking against the dawn-lit water. Hand raised in salute or surrender. Portland welcomed him with a downpour that sheeted the I-5, wipers slapping rhythm to his racing thoughts. The internship was at a boutique agency in the Pearl District. All exposed brick and MacBooks humming indie playlists, where Austin's sketches of urban foxes in flannel earned nods from bearded creatives who talked authenticity like gospel. His studio walk-up smelled of rain-soaked pizza boxes and fresh paint, a futon wedged under slanted eaves overlooking Burnside's neon crawl. Nights blurred into swipes on apps, hookups in dive motels that left him hollow, chasing the echo of Lawrence's gravel voice in strangers' moans. He texted Dad weekly, "Killing it here, Pops. Weather's wetter than Seattle," and ignored the itch to message Lawrence, the unsent drafts piling like bait in a bucket. Miss the lake. Miss you. Weeks bled into a month. The city's pulse sinking with his own craft cocktails at floating bars on the Willamette. Gallery crawls where abstracts evoked Lawrence's unspoken scars. Then, the call came on a Friday, Dad's number lighting his screen mid-shift at the corner roastery. "Hey, champ, how's the rain treating ya?" Dad's boom, warm as ever, undercut by a hitch Austin couldn't place. "Good, Dad. Busy. What's up?" Pause. Static crackle. "Law swung by last weekend. Brought ribs. We talked." Austin's hand tightened on the espresso tamper, grounds spilling black across the marble. "Talked about what?" Dad cleared his throat, the sound like boots on loose scree. "You, mostly." He said the fishing trip was intense. Mentioned you opened up about some stuff. Said you're figuring yourself out. Proud of you, son. We both are. The world grayed at the edges, steam hissing forgotten behind him. Lawrence had told. Not just told, framed it gentle, protective, but spilled Austin's raw confession like chum to the current. Betrayal bloomed cold in his chest. Not hot rage but a numb fracture, the trust they'd cast line-deep cracking under weight unspoken. He. What? Austin managed, voice thin as fog. Dad chuckled awkward, filling the void. Hey, no shame in it. World's full of all kinds. Just wanted you to know doors open. Always. The line went dead, and Austin bolted to the alley, rain sluicing his apron, gut churning with the vileness of violation. Lawrence, with his steady hands and shadowed eyes, had weaponized vulnerability, airing Austin's closet door wide without a whisper of warning. He drove that night, wipers futile against the deluge, headlights carving tunnels through the storm to the I-405 bridge spanning the Columbia. The truck's cab smelled of stale coffee and regret, radio silence to the drum of drops on tin. Lawrence's number burned under his thumb, but the call connected on impulse, ringing hollow over the wail of wind. AUS, Lawrence's voice, rough with sleep or smoke, pulled taut as the suspension cables overhead. What's wrong? Austin gripped the wheel, knuckles straining, the bridge's lights streaking emerald and white. You told him. That. About me. About us. Silence. Then a hiss of exhale, cigarette. Certainty. Had to, kid. He cornered me after you left. Asked why you seemed. I couldn't lie to him. Not after everything. Everything. Austin's laugh cracked bitter, echoing in the empty cab. You mean the kiss? The promises whispered on that goddamn boat? Or just my dirty little secret you decided to polish up and gift wrap? Lawrence's breath caught, ragged. It wasn't like that. I told him you're gay. U.S. Strong word, but true. Said the trip helped you see it clear. He took it fine, better than fine. Hugged me like I'd handed him gold. Austin's vision blurred. Not from rain but rage tears hot on his cheeks. You had no right. That was mine to say. Ours. The truck shuddered over expansion joints. The river below a black maw swallowing secrets. Lawrence's voice dropped, pleading gravel. I was protecting you. From the what-ifs. The slow poison of hiding. Thought it'd free you up for Portland. For whatever comes next. Free. The word spat like venom. You betrayed me. Law. Used trust like bait. Reeled me in. Then gutted me for the story. Silence stretched. Broken only by the storm's symphony. Then Lawrence's whisper. Wrecked. Maybe I did. Goddamn it. U.S. Panicked. You're young. Bright. Didn't want my mess dragging you under. Austin killed the call. Phone skittering across the dash. And pulled over on the shoulder. Hazards flashing frantic. He sat there till the tank ran low on gas and resolve. The bridge's arc mocking his unraveling. Betrayal wasn't the kiss stolen or the hand held. It was the morning after, when vulnerability became currency traded without consent. Portland's glow receded as he looped back, the city lights smearing into accusatory eyes. He crashed at a buddy's couch in Alberta Arts District, the pullout lumpy with unspoken grief, dreams replaying the lake's betrayal in endless loops. Lawrence's lips claiming, then confessing, the water closing over like judgment. Days blurred into avoidance. Texts from Dad piling gentle. Love you, kid. Talk soon. Ignored. Lawrence's voicemails deleted unplayed. His gravel voice a siren he couldn't afford. Work became refuge. Sketches turning darker. Urban foxes now snarling in shadowed alleys. Flannel torn to reveal wounds beneath. The agency's lead. A queer vet named Marco with tattoos mapping his own battles. Clocked the shift over a late-night mock-up session. Spill, Marco said, sliding him a bourbon neat, the amber glow pooling like unspoken hurt. Austin did. Words tumbling from the dock to the bridge. Betrayal's hook lodged deep. Marco listened, chin on fist, then nodded slow. Sounds like he cared wrong. U.S. Clumsy love, wrapped in good intentions. Doesn't make the cut sting less. Austin swirled the glass. Ice-clinking judgment. Was it love? Or just pity? Some old guy's midlife grab at youth. Marco's laugh was kind. Weathered. Only he can answer that. But you're not defined by his fumble. Portland's got a scene, bars, groups, guys who'll meet you where you're at. No baggage required. The advice lodged half-hearted. But it cracked the ice, letting light filter through the fracture. Weeks later, impulse or masochism drove Austin east again. The Volvo he'd scraped together for the move groaning over Stevens Pass. Evergreens blurring into memory's frame. Lake Sammamish gleamed under a rare blue sky. No rain to veil the scars. He launched solo this time. The rental rowboat bobbing clumsy on the cove's lip. Rod rigged with a simple worm under bobber. The bite was slow, meditative, each cast a exorcism casting out the ghost of that night. A sun dipped, painting the water cadmium and rose. A shadow fell across the oars. Lawrence, waders tucked under arm. Truck idling on the bank like a confession parked. Knew I'd find you here, he called. Voice carrying soft over the lap of waves. Austin's reel froze mid-turn, line going slack. Stalking now? Or just tying up loose ends? Lawrence waded in, water sheeting off boots, settling heavy on the thwart opposite, the boat dipping under his weight. Close. He looked hollowed, eyes shadowed deeper, beard unkempt, the flannel hanging looser on frame whittled by worry. Loose ends, he echoed. Right. Pulling a six-pack from his pack. Rainier's sweating cold. Figured you'd hate me enough to show eventually. Easier to face it head-on than wait for the hook to rust. Austin snatched a can, tab cracking sharp as his glare. Hate's too clean a word. This, he gestured the span between, taut as monofilament. This is mess. You outed me, law. To Dad. To safety, you say, but without my say-so. That's not protection. That's control. Lawrence popped his own, foam-kissing rim, gaze on the horizon where mountains chewed the sky. You're right. Flat out. I was scared. Scared you'd bolt to Portland and bury it deeper, like I did for decades. Thought dropping the bomb would force your hand. Make it real before doubt could swallow you. He paused. Sip slow. The condenting under grip. Selfish, too. Wanted to claim some piece of you before you flew. That kiss? First honest thing I'd felt in years. Austin's throat tightened. The worm wriggling forgotten on the hook. Then why pull back? Why the walls again? Lawrence's eyes met his then, raw as stripped bark. Because I'm poison, U.S. Twice divorced, half-closeted logger with a rap sheet of regrets. You deserve fireworks, not fallout. The boat drifted lazy, current tugging toward deeper blue, and Austin felt the pull mirror in his chest. Anger ebbing to ache, the betrayal's barb lodged but not fatal. Maybe I decide what I deserve, he said quiet, reel clicking as he reeled in empty. Maybe we're both just fumbling in the dark. Lawrence's hand extended, tentative across the thwart, palm up in offering. Austin took it, fingers lacing deliberate, the contact electric still, tempered now by truth's temper. They sat that way till dusk deepened, beers warming undrunk, the lake whispering absolution in wavelets against hull. No kisses this time, no rushes, but a bridge rebuilt plank by plank, from splinters of trust reforged. Fall crept in on Portland's heels, leaves turning the Willamette's banks to bonfires of crimson and gold, mirroring the slow burn rebuilding between Austin and Lawrence. Weekend calls evolved from stilted check-ins. How's the rain? Still pouring. To late-night confessions traded over spotty cell service. Lawrence's voice a lifeline through the pass. Pulled a 30-incher today, he'd rumble, pride threading the gravel. And Austin would laugh, sketching trout scales in his notebook margins while steaming lattes for the morning rush. Save me a spot next time. No secrets this round. The invitation hung, accepted tacit, until Thanksgiving loomed, Dad's voice crackling insistent on the line. Get your ass home, son. Laws manning the smoker. Family feast. Queer or not, you're eating my bird. Home. The word chafed now. Seattle's suburbs a half-remembered map of cul-de-sacs and secrets unearthed. Austin drove north the Wednesday before. Volvo packed with pies from a queer bakery in Selwood. Apple cranberry twists dusted with rainbow sugar. A quiet fuck you to tradition. The ferry crossing Puget Sound was bomb. Salt wind whipping his hair as gulls wheeled overhead. The city's skyline sharpening like a promise kept. Dad met him at the terminal. Bear hug crushing the air from his lungs. Eyes crinkled genuine behind wire rims. Look at you. City slicker. Beard suits ya. No awkward probes. Just the easy ribbing of your... Though Austin caught the glances, assessing, accepting, the bomb's fallout settled to fertile ash. Lawrence arrived at dusk, truck rumbling into the drive like thunder rolling home, arms laden with hickory chunks and a case of microbrews from some Bellingham nanobrewery. Their eyes met across the yard, raking leaves in swirling eddies, and Austin felt the jolt, familiar fire, banked now to embers that warmed without scorching. AUS, Lawrence nodded, voice low under the sizzle of drizzling rain, extending a hand that morphed to shoulder clasp, thumb pressing brief into collarbone. Good to see you upright. The innuendo landed soft, shared only in the flex of jaw. Dad oblivious inside basting the turkey to Springsteen anthems. Dinner unfolded in the dining room's harvest glow. Candles flickering on linen Mom had starched lifetimes ago. Plates groaning under cornbread stuffing and green bean casserole bubbling cheddar-edged. Conversation flowed easy. Dad's latest client woes at the firm. Austin's agency pitches landing gigs with local bands. Lawrence's mill tales of greenhorns green as the furs they felled. Under the table, knees brushed accidental on purpose. Austin's pulse sinking to the scrape of forks. Lawrence's boot nudging his calf in Morse code of want. Dad raised a toast midway, glass brimming ruby, eyes misting over the rim. To family. Blood. Chosen. All of it. And to Austin, brave as hell for chasing his truth. The words landed gentle, no thunder, and Austin's throat closed, glancing at Lawrence whose nod was subtle anchor, hand squeezing his under the leaf-hidden cloth. As Dad snored football drunk in his recliner, Austin and Lawrence escaped to the garage, pretext of tuning the truck, masking the magnetic pull. The space smelled of oil and old wood, fluorescent buzz humming overhead as Lawrence popped the hood, wrench in hand turning bolts with unnecessary vigor. Heard about the band gig, he said, voice pitched for the engine's growl. Sketches for album art? That's you, kid, making beauty from chaos. Austin leaned on the fender, close enough to catch the sawdust and soap scent clinging to Lawrence's skin, the betrayal's scar tissue stretching taut. Learned from the best. Chaos king himself. Lawrence straightened, wiping grease on rag, eyes locking in the blue-white glare. Still mad. Austin's breath hitched. Honest. Less every day. But trust? That's a rebuild. The wrench clattered to the bench. Lawrence closing the gap in 2 strides. Hands framing Austin's face. Thumbs tracing jawlines etched deeper by city nights. Then let me earn it, he murmured. Lips brushing temple. Then cheek. The kiss unfolding slow as sap rising in spring. Tongues tentative. Tasting turkey and forgiveness. Bodies pressing workbench hard against flannel yield. Austin's fingers tunneled into Lawrence's hair. Silver threads cool under heat, pulling him deeper into the devouring that starved months had honed sharp. They broke gasping, foreheads abutting. Lawrence's breath ragged him. Upstairs, Austin whispered, half question, half prayer. Lawrence shook head, regret etching lines. Not here. Not under his roof. Deserves better. They settled for the truck instead. Cab's bench seat creaking under shifting weights. Rain pattering privacy on the canopy as hands roamed charts of rediscovery. Buttons yielding to callous palms. Belt buckles clinking loose. Jeans shoved to ankles in frantic tangle. Lawrence's mouth mapped Austin's throat, sucking marks like brands of reclamation, while Austin arched, nails raking back under shirt, eliciting groans that fogged the windows thick. It was hurried, heated. Lawrence's hand wrapping Austin's length, stroking sure with Logger's grip. Counterpoint to Austin's fumbling worship of the broad chest dusted salt and pepper. Climax crashed mutual, messy and murmured, "Fuck." AUS, spilling hot between knuckles, the cab a cocoon of aftershocks and shared sighs. Lying tangled after, jeans half-hitched, Lawrence traced lazy patterns on Austin's hip, voice rumble in the dark. "This us, it's real. But slow. Yeah. No rushing the current." Austin nodded into the crook of neck, heartbeat sinking to the wiper's intermittent swipe. "Slow as you need. Just no more solos." Dawn found them dozing, truck nose to the woodshed, until Dad's porch light flicked query. They straightened sheepish, grease-streaked and glowing, parting with a chaste kiss at the door, promise sealed in the dawn's first blush. Portland reclaimed Austin post-holiday, the Volvo groaning south through Tacoma's industrial sprawl, sketches now laced with lake motifs, base-breaking surface in ink washes, docks etched memory deep. Work surged, the band gig spawning referrals, his portfolio ballooning digital galleries that Marco championed over agency happy hours. "You're on fire, kid." Marco grinned, clinking IPAs at the Lovecraft, Portland's leather-clad haven where chaps hung like art and drag queens slung shots with Shakespearean flair. Austin dipped tentative toes, flirted with a tattooed drummer over pool cues, danced awkward to synth-pop pulses, but Lawrence lingered anchor, their calls nightly rituals. "Miss your hands?" Austin would admit, voice husky over static. Lawrence's laugh low counterpoint. "Patience, fisherman. Bites worth the wait." Spring teased early, dogwoods blooming riots along the burnside, when conflict crested unbidden. A text from an unknown number pinged mid-mock-up. "Hey Austin, it's Riley from Dad's office. He mentioned you're in Portland? Grabbing drinks with the crew Friday, queer-friendly spot. Come out." Austin stared, stylus hovering, the invite a ripple from Dad's quiet advocacy. Riley, lanky paralegal with Dad's firm's softball team, the one who'd crashed barbecues with easy grins and craft cocktail recipes. Gay, apparently, encircling Austin's orbit via proxy. He showed. Why not? The bar a cozy Alberta haunt with rainbow lanterns and bartenders in bow ties, Riley's wave pulling him into a booth of laughing faces, IPA's foaming welcome. Riley was charm incarnate, freckles dusting sharp cheekbones, stories of DC marches and Portland protests spilling animated, hand brushing Austin's on shared nachos with intent that sparked easy. They talked hours bled into last call art scenes, coming out war stories, the thrill of city's anonymity. Your dad's a gem, Riley said, leaning close over closing tabs, breath mint-tinged. Told him about my ex's bullshit, and he just nods. Says, sounds like my boy could use a real one someday. Austin laughed. Warmth blooming gilt-edged. Lawrence's voice echoing phantom. No more solos. But Riley's kiss at the curb was sweet, insistent, cab lights sweeping them into night. And Austin yielded, the studio's futon witness to hurried hands and half-hearted moans. Dawn finding him alone. Riley's note scrawled on bar tab. Round 2. Guilt gnawed like a bad hook set. Austin's text to Lawrence clipped. Busy week. Talk soon. The silence stretching taut. When the call finally came, Lawrence's tone was steel under gravel. Heard from your dad you met someone. Good for you, U.S. Riley sounds solid. Austin's gut plummeted, the bridge's shadow looming memory. It's nothing. Casual. Lawrence's huff crackled line. Casual's fine. Just don't string it. Or me? The accusation landed barbed. Flipping script. Betrayer turned betrayed. Austin's fumbling now the fracture. You're one to talk, he snapped. Defensive flare. Outing me like it was your story to sell. Silence. Then Lawrence's voice. Wrecked quiet. Fair hit. But this feels like payback. The call died. Line humming accusation. Leaving Austin adrift in the studio's hush. Sketches curling at edges like trust unmoored. He ghosted Riley gentle. Timing's off, man. Friends. And drove east weekends after. The pass a gauntlet of what-ifs. Lake Sammamish welcomed cooler now. Water slate under April clouds. The cove their confessional. Lawrence waited dockside first trip. Pole in hand. Expression guarded as flak jacket. Missed you, Austin said. Boat nosing shore. Words bridge across the chasm. Lawrence nodded. Helping tie off. Hands brushing electric. Missed this. They fished dawn to dusk. Words thawing slow. Apologies traded over packed lunches. Riley dismissed as detour. The hookup a symptom of fear, not flight. Scared you'd bolt first, Austin admitted. Reeling slow. Bobber dancing. Lawrence's cast arced perfect. Lure plunking distant. Thought the same. Age gap's a ghost. U.S. Haunts me more than you. By dusk. Reconciliation crested physical. Blanket spread on dock planks. Bodies entwining under flannel shields. The lake's lap counterpoint to gasps and grips. Lawrence moved deliberate. Mapping Austin with mouth and hands. Worship slow as sap. Drawing cries that echoed loon lonely. Mine, he growled into neck's hollow. Possession tender. And Austin arched. Nails scoring back. Always. After. Tangled in wool and afterglow. Lawrence's fingers traced Austin's ribs. Voice rumble confessional. Love you, kid. Dynamite and all. Austin's heart stuttered. The words hooked deep. Love you back. No more ghosts. But ghosts lingered. Whispering in the mill's hum when Lawrence's crewmate cornered him over lunch pails. Saw you with that pretty boy from the city. What's the play? Law? Midlife crisis. The jab landed casual. But rumor rippled. Whispers reaching the bar where Dad drank post-work drafts. No malice. Just small-town static. But Lawrence felt the walls rising instinctive. Text to Austin curt. Rough day. Rain check. Austin pushed back gentle. Calls laced concern. Talk to me. We're in this. But the distance yawned. Seattle's orbit pulling Lawrence inward. Portland's freedoms chafing Austin's patience. Climax brewed that June. Solstice sun gilding the lake gold when Dad called unprompted. Laws in a mood. Snapped at me over nothing yesterday. You two fighting. Austin's reel froze midcast. Solo on the cove's lip. Water still as held breath. Just. Life. He'll come around. But doubt gnawed. Driving him west unannounced. Volvo's tires devouring miles to Lawrence's cabin off the 522. A shake-shingled A-frame nestled in fern-choked woods. The truck sat mud-splattered in the drive. Smoke curling from the stone chimney. And Austin knocked. Pulse thunder. Lawrence answered shirtless. Axe handle in hand from splitting rounds. Sweat gleaming on chest hair silvered. Surprise softened to wariness. U.S.? What's? Austin pushed past. Words torrent. No more hiding. Dad knows. The crew's buzzing. Face it. Law. Us. Lawrence's jaw set. Axe-thunking block. Easy for you. City boy. Fresh start. New crowd. Here, It's my life, my job, your cage, Austin cut, voice cracking. I won't be the secret that breaks you. Lawrence's eyes flashed, stepping close, heat radiating. You're no secret. You're everything. The kiss crashed then, desperate, teeth clashing, hands fisting hair as they stumbled inside, door banging shut on the world's wine. The cabin's interior wrapped them in cedar hush, rafters low and lamplit, the stone hearth crackling reluctant flames against the evening chill. Lawrence kicked the door shut with a boot heel, the thud echoing final as his hands yanked Austin's shirt overhead, fabric whispering surrender to the floor. They collided against the kitchen table, rough-hewn pine biting knees through denim, mouths devouring in famine's fury, tongues tangling salt and sap, Austin's nails raking the broad plains of Lawrence's back, drawing red rivers that beaded like accusations. Don't you dare pull away again, Austin gasped into the hollow of throat, pulse hammering bird-wing frantic under lips. Lawrence's groan vibrating deep as he hoisted Austin onto the scarred oak, legs wrapping waist instinctive, heels digging spurs into flank. Clothes shed in frenzy, jeans shoved pooling ankles, boxers tugged hasty, the air-cool shock on heated skin. Lawrence's mouth trailed fire down chest, tongue circling nipple taut, teeth grazing just shy of pain, while hands mapped hips flare, thumbs pressing bruises into bone. "Goddamn beautiful," he muttered, reverence rough, dropping to knees on the rag rug, beard rasping inner thigh as lips closed hot over Austin's length. Suction slow-building storm that arched him bow-taut, fingers white-knuckled on table edge. Austin's world narrowed to the wet velvet pull, Lawrence's hum vibrating core deep, eyes locked upward dark promise. No ghosts here, only this, raw and reclaiming. He shattered with a cry cracked open, spilling pulse after pulse, Lawrence swallowing deliberate, throat working swallow around the flood. Austin sagged, boneless, as Lawrence rose, claiming mouth in kiss that shared the tang, hands guiding Austin's to his own straining need thick, veined, heavy in palm. "Your turn," Lawrence rasped, voice wrecked want, but Austin shook head, sliding from table to floor, knees rug-burned prayer. He took Lawrence slow, savoring the hitch of breath, the flex of thighs under palms, tongue tracing ridge and vein till Lawrence's hands fisted hair, not guiding but grounding, hips stuttering shallow. AUS fuck, climax tore free guttural, hot jets coating tongue, Austin holding steady through the quake, swallowing claim. They collapsed tangled on the bearskin before the fire, breaths sawing syncopated, skin slick sheen in hearth glow. Lawrence pulled Austin close, arm heavy drape over ribs, leg hooked possessive. "Stay," he murmured into crown of hair, words slurred satiate. "Till morning," Austin nodded throat thick, tracing the tattoo faded on Lawrence's bicep, a compass rose, needles north true. "Longer, if you'll have me," sleep claimed them easy, fire-popping lullaby, dreams untroubled by bridges or barbs. Dawn filtered fern frond through salt-glazed windows, coffee perking on the propane stove as Lawrence fried eggs in cast iron. Shirtless still, the domesticity a bomb on raw edges. They ate cross-legged on the porch, mugs steaming into mist-shrouded woods, birdsong stitching silence comfortable. "Talked to Dad last week," Austin ventured, fork scraping plate. "Says the crew's easing up. Just surprised. Mostly." Lawrence's nod was measured, sipping black. Mills old school, loggers talking shits like breathing. But one's out already. Javier from Swing Shift. Married. Kids. But he cornered me yesterday. Said he gets it. The double life. Offered beers after. Austin's chest eased. Fork pausing. Progress. Lawrence's grin crooked. Setting mug on rail. Beers are progress. And you? Portland humming. Austin leaned into shoulder. Solid oak. Humming louder now. Weekend warrior. Lawrence's arm snaked waist. Squeeze firm. Every damn one. The rhythm built from there. Fridays bleeding into ferries and freeways. Austin's Volvo a comet tailing Lawrence's truck to the cabin. Where nights blurred to explorations unhurried. Slow Sundays skin to skin. Bodies learning languages of touch. Lawrence's fingers patient in Austin's curls. Austin's mouth mapping scars like constellations. They fished dawn patrols. Lines cutting mist. But the real catches were stories spilled shoreside. Lawrence's first love. A Vancouver roughneck lost to AIDS in the 90s. The grief that carved his walls deep. Austin's high school heartbreaks. Crushes crushed under cleats and closets. You make me brave, Lawrence admitted one twilight. Gutting trout with knife sure. Blood bright on blade. Like cracking the lake's surface. Seeing what's below. But undercurrents stirred. Portland's pull tugging Austin's career skyward. A promotion to lead designer on a nonprofit campaign. Pride graphics that splashed social feeds viral. Marco's toast at the office bash. To Austin, out and owning it. The high soured on the drive home. Lawrence's text lighting dash. Saw the posts. Proud as hell. Cabin this weekend. Austin's thumbs hovered. The yes sticking, Riley's ghost lingering. Now a friend in the scene. Invites to gallery openings where hands brushed flirty over wine stems. Tempted to crash a party solo? Austin replied. Half jest. Lawrence's dots danced. Then go. Live. Just come back. He did weekends faithful. But weekdays wandered. The city's siren song luring to clubs where bass thrummed vein deep. Bodies grinding anonymous sweat. One July Friday. Post-pitch glow. Austin hit the Eagle. Portland's leather den pulsing under strobes. Harnesses glinting bar lights. Riley was there. Corner booth with a crew of activists. Wave pulling Austin into shots and stories. Missed your sketches, man. Draw me sometime. The flirt escalated easy. Riley's hand low on back guiding to the dance floor. Hips sinking to industrial beats. Lips brushing ear. Your place. Austin's blood sang yes. The cabin a continent away. Lawrence's voice memory faint. They tumbled to the futon. Riley's mouth eager. Hands mapping familiar but fresh. Freckles tasted salt under tongue. Gasped sharp as new hooks. It was good. Uncomplicated, climax shared shuddering. Riley's laugh post-coital light. No strings, Austin confirmed. Guilt gnawing quiet. None. Just fun. Morning found Riley gone. Coffee cold. Austin's phone buzzing insistent. Lawrence. Missed call. Voicemail gravel tense. Heard you're out with the crew. Cool. Call when you're free. The lie lodged barbed. At a friend's. Crashing here. Sent before doubt could reel it back. Retribution rippled swift. Lawrence's texts cooling to embers. Busy week at the mill. Rain check. Austin pushed. Calls dodged. The pass a chasm widening. Panic crested mid-August. Austin gunning east unbidden. Cabin dark under harvest moon. Truck absent. Dad's number yielded. Laws up in the Cascades. Son. Solo logging gig. Said he needed space. The words gut punched. Austin's Volvo idling empty drive. Betrayal's echo flipping. His casual fuck up the fracture now. Riley's bed the dock where trust splintered. He camped the pass instead. Tent pitched fern shade. Fishing pole a poor proxy for the man haunting every ripple. Days blurred solitary. Casts mechanical. Mind replaying the lies hookset, fun. He called it, but it reeked rationalization. A dip in the lake to test waters without Lawrence's anchor. On day 3, truck rumble shattered solitude. Lawrence materializing trailhead. Pack slung. Beard dust-streaked from high country halls. Knew you'd track me, he said. No heat, just weary fact. Dropping gear by the fire ring. Austin rose. Rod forgotten. Words tumble desperate. I fucked up. Riley, it was stupid. Meaningless. Needed to feel. Free? But you're my free. Law. Lawrence's eyes. Shadowed fire ring. Assessed unblinking. Freeze a slippery fish. U.S. Thought we were past testing lines. He kindled tinder. Flames licking tentative. The silence stretching taut. Austin knelt close. Hand on knee. We are. Teach me better. Lawrence's sigh deflated. Hand covering Austin's. Squeeze forgiveness tentative. Not teaching. Learning together. The kiss that followed was salve. Slow under stars wheeling indifferent. Bodies unhurried on bedroll. Explorations tender. Lawrence's mouth patient on every inch reclaimed. Austin's gasps absolution. No more lies. Lawrence murmured into belly's dip. Tongue tracing navel. Promise. Austin arched. Fingers carding hair. Swear. They broke camp dawn sharp. Truck bed hauling them down mountain tandem. Austin's Volvo trailing faithful. Portland simmered jealous as they parted. Lawrence's goodbye lingering cab warm. Come home soon. Cabin feels empty. Work swallowed Austin fierce after. Pride wrap-ups morphing to fall campaigns. Marco's side-eye over skipped happy hours. Boyfriend blues. Austin grinned tight. Something like. Riley faded orbit. Nods cordial at scene spots. The hookup a scar faded. October stormed in wet-lashed. Seattle's gray mirroring Austin's unease when Lawrence's texts lagged. Overtime crunch. Catching up on sleep. Calls connected clipped. Lawrence's voice edged fatigue. Dad's nudge came casual over coffee run home. Law's been off. Mills pushing cuts. Seniority saves him. But stress is chewing the guy. Austin's gut nodded. Driving east that night. Cabin lights mocking vacant. The bar yielded. Lawrence hunched stool end. Whiskey neat sweating glass. Crew scattered laughing oblivious. Austin slid beside. Hand shoulder squeeze. Hey! Lawrence startled. Eyes bloodshot map. AUS. Didn't expect. Good. Surprises keep it fresh. The quip fell flat. Lawrence's nod mechanical. They talked low over rounds. Lawrence unspooling the Mills axe. Layoffs looming. His 48 too seasoned for rehire. The divorce settlements draining savings thin. Feels like starting over at scrap, he admitted. Glass circling rings. Austin's hand found his under bar rail. Thumb stroking knuckle. We'll figure it. Together. Lawrence's squeeze was desperate. Eyes pleading. Yeah. Together. Climax brewed that Halloween Eve. Portland streets phantasm parade when Austin's phone shattered revelry. Dad. Voice quake. Accident. Law's truck. Slid on black ice up the pass. Hospital now. The world tunneled black. Austin bolting streets. Cab hailing frantic to the bridge. Rain sheeting judgment. Our lights buzzed sterile hell. Dad pacing lobby. Face carved grief. Slippery bastard. hydroplaned into a guardrail. Doxay. Touch and go. Internal bleeding. Austin's knees buckled. Marco's borrowed Harley skidding lot as he arrived. Arm steel around shoulders. Breathe. U.S. He's tough. They waited hours bleed. Fluorescent torture. Austin's mind replaying every touch. Every promise. The lake's kiss. Cabin's claims. The lie's lingering shadow. Surgeon emerged dawn pale. Stable. Cracked ribs. Spleen nicked. But he'll pull through. Relief crashed sob-racked. Austin bolting room. Lawrence pale prop against starched sheets. For drip, beeping metronome. Eyes fluttered open. Finding Austin's tear-streaked. New you'd. Haunt me. Austin choked laugh. Hand engulfing limp fingers. Damn right. No solo recoveries. Recovery etched slow. Lawrence's cabin transformed triage. Bed propped pine frame. Austin shuttling from Portland weekends to nurse duty. Brewing bone broth on the propane stove and swapping bandages with wince-shared curses. Easy. Lumberjack. Austin teased. Tape peeling gentle from ribs bruised plumb. Lawrence's hiss melting to grin crooked. Who's the patient here? Your bedside's bossy. The jab landed light. Their rhythm reknit thread by thread. Nights curled spooned under quilts pieced from Lawrence's ex's abandoned crafts. Breaths sinking shallow to match the healing heave. Portland's agency granted remote grace. Austin's laptop glowing hearthside as he inked campaigns from the wild. Marco's texts check in. How's the invalid? Send nudes of the scar. Laughter bubbled easy now. The accident's shadow receding like tide. Dad visited thrice weekly. Bearing Tupperware of meatloaf and wary wisdom. Stubborn as stumps. You too. But it suits. No prying. Just quiet acceptance. The trio forging new normal over cribbage boards and Cascadia drafts. Dad's nod at Austin's casual boyfriend drop over pie. New since the lake. Son. Law's glow said it all. Lawrence. From armchair throne. Squeezed Austin's knee under Afghan. Eyes soft accusation. Tattletale. The word wrapped warm. Betrayal's ghost exorcised in the hearth's steady crackle. Winter clamped iron. Snow blanketing the wood's white hush. When the mill's axe fell final. Lawrence's pink slip crisp envelope. Restructuring euphemism for obsolescence. The blow landed quiet. Over dawn coffee. His face carved stoic. 40 years down the drain. What's a logger without his log? Austin set mug deliberate. Hand covering Lawrence's tremor faint. A fisherman. Partner. Us. The pivot sparked frantic. Resumes dusted off. LinkedIn profiles limned in lamplight. Austin's agency connections yielding leads. Sustainable forestry gigs up in Whatcom. Eco-consulting for Seattle startups. Lawrence balked initial. Pride's barb snagging. Charity cases now? Austin's retort firm. Kiss sealed. Teamwork. Remember? Like that pike at 14. Spring thawed tentative. Lawrence landing contract haul with a co-op near Bellingham. Smaller scale. Fairer wage. Weekends free for lake runs. They launched Sammamish regular. Skiff slicing blue reborn. Lines humming harmony. One May dusk. Bass heavy-mouthed on the stringer. Lawrence reeled Austin close dockside. Ring glinting foil in his palm. Simple silver band. Etched compass rose twin to the ink on arm. Not proposing traditional, he rumbled. Voice gravel vow. Kneeling rough on planks. But promising. You in. Austin's yes choked tear-salted. Fingers threading hair as lips claimed ring set. The lake witness to eternity etched wave whisper. Portland adapted anchor shared. Austin's career-cresting lead on a national queer youth initiative. Billboards blooming pride across billboards from Seattle to San Diego. Fox's now fierce guardians. Flannel flags of furled fury. Lawrence trekked south monthly. Truck bedded tools and tenderness. Crashing the studio for nights of city chaos. Food trucks devouring halal carts at midnight. Powell's shelves scavenged for dog-eared Kerouac. Lovemaking languid on the futon to Rain's patter symphony. Your world's rubbing off, Lawrence admitted. Sprawled naked in dawn's slant, fingers tracing Austin's portfolio sprawl. Feels bigger. Braver. Austin grinned into beard scratch pillow. Ours now. Conflict's embers flared summer sharp. When Dad's health check pinged alarm. Prostate shadow on scan. Biopsy pending. The call yanked Austin north mid-pitch. Lawrence meeting ferry dockside. Arm steel around quake. We'll face it, he murmured into rain-damp hair. Truck cab sanctuary to the hospital's sterile buzz. Waiting room purgatory forged them tighter. Lawrence's hand vice in Austin's. Dad's jokes feeble over vending machine coffee. Figures I'd go tits up when life's finally interesting. Results landed mixed, early, treatable. Radiation roadmap sketched hopeful. Relief pooled communal. Dad's discharge dinner at the split level a toast to triumphs. To fighters. All kinds. Eyes met across table, father to son. Lover to lover. Promises etched unspoken. Fall harvest hues gilded the pass when betrayal specter stirred final. A letter innocuous in Lawrence's P.O. box. Creased envelope from Second X. Marla, the artist who'd painted their ghosts white. Heard about the split. It read, cursive careful, but whispers say otherwise. If he's circling back, careful. He leaves colors faded. Curiosity cracked seal. Austin scanning over breakfast. Gut ice despite the dismiss. Postmark years old. Marla's address Vancouver ghost. But doubt wormed. Questions spilling evening firelit. Ever think of her? But straight. Lawrence's face shadowed. Poker slow. Once. Early days. Before I knew. But you're the true north. U.S. Compass don't lie. Trust teetered. Austin's silence the sway. But confrontation brewed gentle. Letters burned hearth-hot. Ashes stirred vow. No more phantoms. Lawrence's nod solemn. Hand extended palm up. Clean slate. Winter solstice sealed it. Cabin strung lights twinkling. Tree felled fresh dripping sap needle. Dad joined. Arm slung Austin's shoulder. Toasting eggnog to new chapters. Lawrence pulled Austin porchside midnight. Snow feathering lashes. Kiss snowflake soft. Forever starts now. Years folded accordion. Portland's pulse Austin's canvas. Designs etching queer icons global. Lawrence's co-op blooming stewardship. Teaching green hands sustainable slice. They bought joint, a fixer A-frame off the 101. Oregon coast crashing symphony. Where fishing meant crab pots dawn dropped. Evenings porch swayed with marzenas and memoirs swapped. Dad remarried gentle. A widow from the firm's book club. Barbecues now rainbow-edged with grandkids' crayons. Betrayal's scar faded faint. A tattoo like Lawrence's rose. Reminder, not chain. On their fifth dock dawn. Sammamish mist-wreathed. Austin reeled a pike trophy. Silver flash breaking surface. Lawrence's whoop echoing youth. Teamwork, he grinned. Netting triumphant. Hands steady over Austin's as lines coiled tandem. The lake lapped benediction. Sun cresting gold. Stunned no more. But stunned anew by Grace's bite. Betrayed once. But bound eternal. Hooks traded for hearts. In America's wild heart where men loved loud as the waves.